teaching you how to play.
This one might not be the good one. Wait, I'll get down to one, eh? Or do you want to get them both? Okay, I've meant to properly put this together and upload it for a while now, because I did say to court and PPS and anyone that I thought ought to have it on their record, and by have on their record I mean there's no credible deniability. What do they call it? Plausible deniability. So people can refuse to answer and acknowledge, but if there were an OIA request court ordered, or a Privacy Act, or any criminal evidence ordered, I've got a record of everyone I've sent it to. So when I send things to people, I don't... Often these people are hostile to me, and they're not going to reply, but silence is... it's funny as an SB saying this. Silence is difficult for anyone to interpret. Giving someone the silent treatment, sometimes, that's called passive. Well, that's a very good example of passive aggression. So that's passive. It's not like covert aggression, which is active. It's just covert, like covert operations. Covert operations aren't just doing nothing. They're not passive, they're active. So people can be covert aggressive by gaslighting you or giving you dirty looks or that kind of thing. But passive aggression is inaction. It's inaction where action is morally or reasonably justified. So when I send these things to people, a response can be damning, a response can be helpful if people want to be helpful. A lack of a response is a very clear sign to an SB who does pattern matching that no one wants to go on the record. And that to me is, well, it's not to me, it's just that I know that that's quite damning. When you're given the opportunity to respond to something and you decline that opportunity, it shows that you've got something to hide, or that you think that you can get away with not coming clean. So these are why I make these recordings, and these are why I send them to people. I'm not asking anyone to do anything. I know you're not going to do anything, but what I'm doing is I'm making clear that you have this on the record. Any of you who are, anyone who holds information on me is subject to the Privacy Act. Now, you don't have to, in fact, you're not allowed to hold information on me that isn't relevant to the job you're doing, but I don't send this to anyone whose job it isn't to know. And that includes MSD. So MSD also needs to know what's happening to me, because these things are happening, one, in emergency housing, and they're also happening in ways that clearly show that my obligations to be house hunting during this are non-existent. And when police don't reply, but when they instead, when faced with evidence like this, they decide to drop the charges because it's not in the public interest to pursue prosecution. It's like, yeah, it damn well is in the public interest. It's just not in your personal interest, because you're not acting on police. You're not acting as a police officer. You're acting on behalf of someone else who's giving you something better than what the police is giving you, and it's probably just as simple as money. So what I'm putting together now is just a little bit of what happened on the day, and it was the 1st of March, when one one instance of police harassment was recorded by a neighbour, and so I will show the videos, and I'll show a little video clip I took that I sent to the manager because I was out at the time. And when I was out, I rang 111 to see what's the job number, why are they here, and there was no job number. By job number I mean there was no police file number, so there was no I think we can take from that there was no, this was freelancing, yeah. And then after I show that, I won't tell you what happened, I'll show you, and then after that I'll just give it a bit more of an explanation. And I just want to say that I have asked permission of the person who shared the footage with me to share this, and she was like, yeah, that's totally fine. And I said, you know that when I show it, it is going to show the angle of what you're filming, which by doing very, very simple reverse engineering shows where you live. And she says that's fine by me. I won't go into any more of her personal information, but she has her own reasons for not wanting to, she's not hiding. Okay, here we go.
After a collision, Parker calls the rock truck drivers in for a meeting. I really just want to make sure that you guys are aware of the safety issue with driving high speed out here. I can't have somebody get hurt here. No. There's been a couple of close calls just sporadically, so we just gotta slow down, find a rhythm that works. I'm going to have this conversation with you guys once. We're only going to get tighter on space. As we work our way down there, it's going to become fewer around here. So let's just try to be safe, drive reasonable. Think about, as I'm flying by this machine, if Parker's dog comes running out from behind it, can I stop in time? You wouldn't have. You kill my dog, it's going to be bad.
I zoomed in to show where they went.
Okay, I do have a longer clip that I kind of ended up going on one of my rambles, because I do not do very slick content production, because that's not my shtick. My shtick is telling my story and doing what I can on a kind of activist level. But I do also realise that if I don't get a bit slicker in my productions, then I'm not going to achieve those goals. So I will try. So what I'm doing now, I'm going to steer out of the skid that I'm getting myself into again now, and I'm just going to quickly just say the basics of the exposition. Well, it's kind of exposition, and it's kind of just stating what also occurred but was not recorded, and then I'm just going to add this, and then I think the longer ramble that I had in place of this short sort of wrapping up kind of, okay, this is what you've just seen, went on for quite a while, and I think it's actually quite important because it goes into a lot of other stuff about the next charge and other stuff that's going on, and I end up speaking directly to police prosecution whether or not they're watching. I suspect they are, including the people that they are running interference for by taking me to court, criminal court. But so what had happened is, so someone known better to that neighbour who took the footage than to me had done me a wonderful favour by driving me out as negotiated and planned according to our own schedules, to drive me out to my storage units to divest myself of some of the stuff that I've been carrying around from place to place to place to place, because I've been kicked around. Like my recent analogy I made was basically of playing pinball. I mean, I'm just the ball that goes wherever the flippers send me in Christchurch. That's what it's like being homeless on one level, and the level of homelessness I'm on is actually fucking terrifying because it exists on a psychological level called housing insecurity, and it's a step up from the usual definition of housing insecurity because the housing insecurity is actively perpetrated by individuals, and they're not the same individuals. And one of those is police themselves, by constantly just turning up and making me, well, I assume the purpose is not just to intimidate me, because that's definitely what they're doing, or harassing me or whatever, but they're also, I think they're just trying to make sure that I'm not welcome anywhere, because people don't want to hear, proprietors don't want to hear why the police are constantly turning up for you. They don't want to know about it. They just want you gone. And in a housing shortage disaster like we're experiencing, that doesn't give me a lot of market value, you know, as a resident. So I constantly live in fear of being homeless, and so what I'm trying to do is just get down to like a suitcase and a backpack kind of thing. I can laugh at that. Everyone else can laugh at that. Anyone who knows me can laugh at that later. But that's sort of the goal. So I've just been trying to move stuff that I've been carting around. Really, that has not been my fault, not my intention to be carting around, but I've had to because of circumstances police and other people they won't protect me from have put me in. And so we were out, this other woman, an older woman, and I were out in her car, and we were going to my storage. We hit both of my storage units, did a bit of swap around, made a bit of space, dropped some stuff off, picked up a couple of essentials, that kind of thing. Now, as we were driving, she picked up a phone call, and she's a responsible call taker. She has a fixture in her car and whatever, so and I think I ended up taking the phone at one point when the discussion got a bit more intense, and this is why it was intense. So this is the person who took the footage, and she was at around the same time she had taken the footage, she was ringing to say that the cops are here for Caitlin. And what she was showing, as you could see and you could hear, I've avoided uploading the footage that has her voice more prominently on it, and I kept saying, stop talking. I don't want to capture your voice on this. I don't want to invade your privacy. But she said, well, look, they're going to see where I live anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But anyway, I just try to sort of limit the impact on others, but as much as I can, whilst still using the resources that they've given me to expose the truth. So what she was doing is she had said by filming the car, and then also you talking to one of the constables, the one with the blonde ponytail, is she was filming up to my apartment. That's my sort of Juliet kind of balcony, to show where they had been going, looking for me. Now, because there are two, so to go up the stairs there, you get to the top of the stairs and you can turn right to knock on my door, or you can turn left to knock on the other door, or in the case of a recent genuine welfare check to stop me fucking killing myself when I was in the act, kicking my door down. And of course it cannot be assumed that just because a cop is going up those stairs, they're there to go to my house, but the assumption was correct. And the person who filmed, because I had confided in her previously about things that had been happening to me and shown her footage of some of the police harassment that had occurred at the Papanui Court Motel, where I was in emergency housing for a month in over September and October, I think, or August and September or something like that. She thought that the blonde female officer with a ponytail was the same as one of the ones who had been harassing me at Papanui Court Motel. I don't think it is, but I don't blame her for thinking that. But anyway, whatever, she's not stupid, and she knew that this needed to be recorded. And she just happened to miss the recording of them going up and down my stairs. But what she had said was they were going up my stairs. I don't know how many times she said they'd gone up there, but they were clearly trying to, get me, find me at home. When they did not find me at home, it was quite funny when we got the phone call. Like, I'm a bit of a Cypress Hill fan. I'm not really a Cypress Hill fan. I just really like their early albums, and especially Black Sunday, and I don't know, I was kind of rapping a little bit in the car going, a couple pickies from the east side fucking up your program, and they come to raid my pad, but I'm out of my nice 9-juice cad. And I was saying, is this a 9-juice cad? And the driver was like, yeah, I wish. So we were having a bit of a laugh about it. But so what the filmer had said was that once they found me not there, they just sat in the, I want to say squad car, but I think that's American, whatever, the patrol car. They just sat in the patrol car and they were just there for some time. Like, my impression was over 10 minutes, and it could have been like much longer than that. I don't know, but whatever it is, they'd settled in for a wait, okay, for me to come home. And I asked if the manager had intervened at all or had said anything, and she said no. And I thought, okay, I would quite like him to go and ask their business. So I had texted him, and that was that text, because I wanted him to actually approach them and ask them their business. And a lot of people don't know the law, but if it's a welfare check, you don't have to have a welfare check. Police will tell you it's their duty. No, it's not. Sorry, it's not. It's not their duty. They can be a bit flexible about how they define duty, but that flexibility can turn into the equivalent of a lie if they give you the impression that you are under police or legal obligation to receive their visit. That's actually just a form of trespassing where they've intimidated you into thinking that you have to let them in, and you have to talk to them. You don't. You can tell them to go away. You can trespass them. And other videos that I've shown, I've shown, telling police to go away, and they know they have to. So I just said, I wrote, and I've shown his name. I think that's okay. He's the manager here. You can. Everyone knows where I live. It's an emergency housing accommodation. He's listed as the manager. His name is Lou. So I texted him and I just said, yeah, can you just go and please just check check their business. I don't want to boss him around, but look, it's his place, and there's a police bring an unpleasant element here when they're not on official duty, you know. And Liu was not forthcoming with me when I asked him in person about it, and he didn't want to hand over footage the of what the filmer did not capture, but I am putting this on the record so that you know, if court could probably order that footage or whatever. I'm just saying the footage is there. Footage does expire, but I don't think you're allowed to destroy evidence. I mean, you're not allowed to destroy evidence, and I think that is evidence. And I think that managers, a lot of people don't understand the law, but actually I think he is probably obligated to at least hang on to that footage without deleting it. But anyway, whatever, I just want to show that I gave that opportunity and I asked that question. It's not me who has anything to hide. Anyway, you could see that he did go and talk to the officer. The conversation was a lot more animated than I had been. You know, we had a brief, the conversation in the car was fairly brief, so it was a lot more animated and was a lot more lengthy than I had expected. A bit of gesturing, and Liu, to me, although he was only briefly in the picture, he did not look very receptive to whatever the officer was saying. But on the phone at the time, because not everything had become clear, the filmer was under the impression that, because she could hear snippets, she was under the impression that the officer was saying to him, "Oh, we just got the wrong address, sorry," and that they were intending to go to, because there's a whole row of emergency accommodation along the strip on Sherborne Road, and some of it looks very similar, I have to say. I've had someone, oh sorry, I don't mean emergency accommodation, I mean motel accommodation. I actually had a couple from, I think the one over, trying to get into my place with their key, and they were most shocked to find me open the door, but it looks so similar from outside. Like I can understand that. So that had plausible deniability. I don't believe it for a minute, but it had plausible deniability. But that turned out that wasn't actually what happened. So when I did a little bit more digging and I can't make anyone I can't slide a 20 over the table and say, can you tell me a bit more? I can just get what I'm given. Anyway, it turned out that no, they had not got the wrong address. It's simply that they were, she was, as she said, she said she was looking for somebody who used to live in the unit that I'm in. So the filmer was correct. They were coming to my place, not to my neighbours across. They were coming to my place, my unit number, looking for someone who used to live here but no longer does. And that is important information, because when we were in the car, when I was out doing my storage unit trip, I had also rung 111, and I had asked about the presence there and what the business was and why they were, what they wanted with me. Was it a welfare check? If it is a welfare check, can you just tell them to leave me alone, please? Anyway, the 111 dispatcher was amenable and helpful, and she went away and had a look, and she could find absolutely no one dispatched to the address. So if it were true that they'd just got the wrong address, then of course the address that I gave her wouldn't come up as a file or any kind of police reference, because in that case the the unit would have just simply gone to the wrong address by accident, and that wrong address obviously wouldn't be recorded because it was not a plan, and no one would deploy someone to the wrong address on purpose. That's totally self-contradictory. But no, she said that she was here looking for someone who had previously lived here. Why? You're doing it of your own volition then, because there's no record of you being sent here, and police officers don't. Yeah, it just doesn't work like that. So now I know that. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I know. So that'll make sense. Anyway, pretty much as soon as that story was told to the manager, the police car departed the scene, and got back later, and I came over and had a look at the footage, and we couldn't find a way to share the files that were too big, so I just filmed directly off the camera. But the date that I showed by just I just briefly showed the date, so that was the same date. It was just later in the day, a bit after 5. Yeah, so that's 18 minutes. It's a bit still longer than I wanted, but I think that just gives a fuller coverage of what happened, and it's all consistent with the overall picture. And in the next video, that's longer, I think, although I'm pushing it, I go into more and I speak directly to police prosecution, whether or not they're listening, and I suspect they probably are in some way or other. I talk more about the next charges, because this was a lot of harassment that was occurring before the 12th of April, which was the date set for the trial for the first 2 charges, which have now been dropped. And so I was getting a lot of police attention under various guises, and I talk about that a little bit further in the next video, but I don't want to go into that now, because it's purely intended to just explain that harassment. And I'm leaving out a little bit that I should add, but for the sake of brevity, any brevity that I can salvage from this, I'm just going to leave it there for now, and you can click on the link to go to the next video where I go into more detail. Thank you.